Okay. My apology for being late.
Hey, no problem, Sam. Good evening, India. Good morning, America. This is Shan Shankaran, General Secretary, Indian Overseas Congress. Today we are here with a very important topic of the year. We are going to discuss about 2024 recap, the idea of democracy, and the way forward 2025 in the democracy context. Couple of major countries like United States of America, India went through election. There are a lot of other countries like Poland, Indonesia, Argentina, Mexico, Europe Union. So many others also went through elections. So globally, the democracy kind of statistics are changing, whether people are towards right, left, new, center. So I let Sam Pitroda give a quick introduction, his perspective on where he is seeing. He has written a book on democracy recently, idea of democracy. In fact, I want to kind of invite Sam now. Go ahead, Sam.
Thank you, Sean. Happy New Year to all our friends who join us.
Happy New Year, Sam.
I'm sorry about my voice. I've not been well for last day or two. So I'll speak a little slow, and you may have problem with my voice on and off. I hope you all had a good New Year. I hope at a personal level, you all also had an opportunity to review and reflect on what happened in 2024, and what you, in your personal capacity, want to do in 2025. I do this for myself for many years, and I normally prepare a document. It's more of a PowerPoint presentation. This year, like every other year, it is about 30-40 PowerPoint slides, which outline my roadmap to 2025. Not that I get to accomplish everything, but it gives me a sense of direction. So when I look at 2024, as Sean said, from 100,000 feet, looking down on the earth, I first think of 2024 as a year where 64 countries had elections. And in the process, on one hand, democratic agenda has moved forward because many countries voted for democracy. But the challenge to democracy continues. The global trends reflect people's desire to live in a free and fair environment where justice can be assured, equality can be assured, and economic prosperity is seen as the future for everybody. Unfortunately, we have seen in the last year that rise of authoritarian politics and policies have increased. The results in the largest democracy in the world, India, and the oldest democracy in the world, US, has shown that we prefer democracy, but at the same time, authoritarian policies are gaining grounds. And it has huge implications on economy, equality, diversity, inclusion, and sustainability. Going forward, two real challenges we are all faced with relate to climate change and inclusion. Climate change, because we have seen in 2024 how environment can play havoc. Floods, cyclones, lots of snow, forest fires, and the list goes on and on. The damage done in 24 is a reminder that we pay little more attention to climate change than we have. And whenever you have authoritarian policies, climate change unfortunately goes on the back burner. Similarly, inclusion assures diversity, equity, dignity, respect, safety, security of the minority. All these issues become a major challenge under authoritarian regime. History has shown us what it ultimately leads to. So these two are the real key issues for all of us going forward. That in turn gets translated into peace, prosperity, opportunities for all, ability to find work, build businesses, create safe and secure environment. And that is the ultimate goal of the democracy. And that's what we are all trying to accomplish at a personal level and also at a community and national level. If you don't feel secured in the neighborhood you live in, it's very difficult to talk about progress. So peace is a precondition for prosperity. And we have seen, based on what is going on in Gaza, Ukraine, Somalia, and plenty other places in the world, that peace is not on everybody's agenda. In the process, UN has become ineffective. Though all of these are at a very high level observations, but I feel that each of these observations are critical for all of us to plan our 2025. One of the key elements is technology. Technology is offering lots of hope in 2025. Whether we talk about potential of AI or health, science. The other day I read a series of articles on aging, how aging can be reversed. Though these are very early days, it might take another 10, 15, 20 years. But we are trying to unlock some new potential in health areas, challenges related to cancer, aging, wellness. However, technology has played a important role in 2024 elections everywhere. Digital platforms, social media, YouTubers, television channels are really making a huge difference in democracy. But there are two sides of technology, especially digital and social media technologies. On one side, there are lots of advantages. Connecting people, allowing you to form networks, connecting families, living globally on a daily basis, forming new interest groups, sharing knowledge, learning more about science and technology, politics, economy, everything. But at the same time, this technology has created huge challenges for democracy because bad elements misuse these technologies to manipulate elections, to propagate misinformation, attack people personally. I'm sure you have heard about my own computer being compromised. One of the reasons I couldn't join earlier today was that it was locked up and I had to reset it. So it took me 5 more minutes to go reset. My phone is compromised. And that affects my day to day life. So elections have been severely affected by bad elements who promote misinformation, malign people, capture booths, change voting patterns, manipulate data. This, and as a result, technology is playing more and more important role in democracy in a way we had never thought of. Digital platforms are also, in a sense, democratizing hate. Everybody finds somebody to hate, and everyone has opinion on everything. This morning I saw a video by someone who apparently hated Dr. Manmohan Singh for whatever reason, personal reason, and he has some very bad things to say. Normally, his voice would not find space in public media because it is almost a hate speech. But once he puts it on social media, all kinds of interest groups who want to exploit that would start promoting this video on a variety of platforms, and millions of people will see this. And it will seed some doubts in their mind. This aspect of social media, capturing somebody's digital life, maligning them with misinformation, manipulated data, misunderstanding of what it is and why it is hurting our democracy in a big way. Systematic trolling, and I've seen it in my case, really takes a lot on individual and his families. Trolling also creates an environment which finds a space on Wikipedia, on many other digital platforms where people search for you. In my case, I can tell you, though I don't look at any of this stuff, but once in a while, friends will alert me that, oh, I saw your Wikipedia and there is a special section on controversy. There is no special section on my work in telecom, on my spending years and years on knowledge commission, innovation council, all the work I did in India. But there's a special section on controversies created. And these controversies were really manipulated. And it affects not only individual, political parties, national politics, elections, and ultimately results in a growing conflict with authoritarian type of regime which backs these kinds of bad elements. Sometimes it results in violence. You look at what is going on in the US in terms of killing in public places. It comes out of hate, out of rage, and all of these things have affected 2024. So going forward in 2025, one big challenge everywhere is jobs, jobs, jobs. I'm told there are lots of jobs available in the US and other places for AI people. But those jobs don't really matter when you look at a bigger picture. We need jobs in agriculture, manufacturing, services. And these jobs have to be well-paying jobs. On one hand, you can't find jobs. On the other hand, you can't find people you need. I was in California recently and learned that if you want to find someone at home to take care of children, you may have to pay as much as $40 per hour. Now, can you believe that? That's the kind of prices which are considered normal in that part of the country. Housing is very expensive in that part of the world. Help is very difficult to find. And then on top of it, California produces a lot of food for the country. So where do you find agricultural workers? And then you have this immigration policy of the new government coming in. And all of these challenges in 2025 are going to affect all of us. So first impact is going to be on our work, whether it is through AI or through other technologies related to AI, new tools, new methods, or through new workforce, we are all going to be affected in 2025. Cost of living is another area of concern, inflation. Not too long ago, home mortgage in US was 3.5%. Now it is almost double. Double. How can young people afford to buy housing if these kinds of interest rates continue? So 2025 is going to be a very difficult year from my perspective. Every year I begin with great hope that this year things are going to be different. This year everything is going to be sorted out. Unfortunately, I get disappointed several times. When 2024 started, I said, this is the year, because there are elections in 64 countries. Democracy will find a lot of support and the world would be better for all of us. It didn't turn out that way. So I'm being more cautious in 2025. Unless and until we create jobs, stop these wars, pay attention to climate actions, think of geopolitical shift that is taking place from US and Europe to China and India and other parts of the world. Pay attention to Africa, immigration or migration. These are the issues that will shape your future and my future. So don't underestimate the impact of these larger issues on our day-to-day living standard, economic activities, opportunities, safety, security, and prosperity. Look how travel has become so complicated. 25 years ago, I could go all the way to the gate without any security, maybe 30 years ago, to receive my relative or my friends. Today, it is impossible to really travel without multiple levels of security. And for someone like me, with pacemaker and all, I have to be very careful that they don't put me through some wrong machine. You have to make sure that your laptop remains with you, because everybody has Apple, MacBook. They all look alike and they all have to put it in a separate basket. So the travel has become too complicated, as an example. And it will get further complicated in 2025. So in a nutshell, I want to share with you my larger concern for democracy. We all want to live in a free and fair society where inclusion is assured, opportunities are available to everybody, and safety and security are equally assured. And I think this is going to be a challenge in 2025. With this sort of a long introduction, we will open up for a broader conversation. And I've told Sean that I would like to see more interactions than one-way communication. I think in the last few sessions, I've seen that whenever we have guest speakers and all, there is very little time for you all to interact. So I want to make sure that every time if possible, we keep at least 30 minutes to interact with everybody. We appreciate your support. Our numbers have been increasing. More and more people are joining us. And we have to make sure that it is more participative. And with this, I want to once again thank Sean and Priyambada for this great opportunity to interact with everyone. And once again, wish you a happy new year. And let's open up for a broader conversation.
Thank you, Sam. I think it was great to see you back, and we never took a break originally as intended for holidays. So I want you to recoup well, Sam. So sad to hear you are not well.
Well, happens.
There are a lot of people sharing their New Year pleasantries. Deva Darshan, Sukumar Rajan,
Sure.
and Rajesh Shumrania.
Good.
Okay, what will be year 2025 for young generation? Rajesh Shumrania.
Younger generation are really looking for good education and good job. We as seniors, sort of in the government, outside the government, have to assure that young people do get these opportunities. Look at what is going on in India right now about the exams and education. Quality of education has really deteriorated. Jobs are just not there. And young people need to be really assured of these two things. Otherwise, they'll rebel, rightfully so. And not enough attention is being paid to the needs of the young.
Sure. Isn't liberalism oak destroyed the uniqueness and richness of the countries it infected?
Well, I don't think liberalism has destroyed the richness. It depends on where you draw the line. Liberalism is more about democracy that works for the people. Liberalism is more about equal opportunities, inclusion. Globalization may have had effect on what you are saying, because globalization hasn't worked for everybody, because different people have different working systems. Globalization has worked very well for China, where authoritarian regime could find 100,000 workers from villages, line them up in bunkers, and force them to work for 10 hours a day in a very hostile environment, bad living conditions, very poor pay structure. And that has created huge wealth in the country, because all the production that was looking for low cost went to China. And all of a sudden we find that nobody else is in manufacturing. China is the only country manufacturing. So I think liberalism should not be confused with globalization.
Dev Pradap from YouTube want us to say Jai Shri Ram, Jai Shri Ram. Okay, Tamil Selvan from LinkedIn is saying, Mr. Sam, please ignore about negative comments. Those who talk about wrongdoings, they deserve the same. Keep moving forward.
I appreciate and I agree with you. But at the end of the day, we are also normal human beings. We get affected because our families get affected. Okay. I just this morning got a long email from a very close friend of mine in Africa who is a well known leader, and he was being attacked personally. And guess what? His wife had nervous breakdown, not him, because family couldn't take it. He could take it because he understands this well. He has been in politics for 30 years. Okay. So his wife had serious nervous breakdown because these things not only affects you, but it affects your family, friends, loved ones, your children get affected. And you don't even know sometimes. So, we are all human beings. We all live with family, friends, and it's not that simple. I wish it was that simple, unfortunately. But that's what you sign up for when you want to be a public figure. Okay. And you make mistakes in your way because we are all normal people. Somebody would come and say, oh, you should have done it this way. Fine. I agree with you. But then I didn't, as an example. Okay. So we pay for it. That's okay. Nagendra.
Nagendra Madhavaram from Facebook is asking, in 1947, Pandit Nehru, wary of religious extremism, established institutions to protect democracy. His concerns now seem prescient as democracy is currently in critical condition. In 2025, we must develop innovative methods and strategies to restore and strengthen our democratic system. How hopeful you are about India, in particular, about this protecting the institutions back, Sam?
I think in India, there is a different agenda. Agenda of the RSS, and I'm not an expert on it, so you'll have to take my words with pinch of salt. Their agenda is to make Hindu Rashtra, to make sure that the minorities, Muslim, Christians, Jewish, Buddhists, are reminded that they are a minority. All of a sudden you see everyone says, oh, but there was a temple and you build mosque. Nobody's asking, hey, what was it before it there was temple? Okay. If you want to go fight, saying there was a temple, yeah, but what was there before the temple? It was a tribal land. Okay, so ideally, it should be a tribal land. But is that possible? I'm just giving this as an example. Now one can argue about the logic of it. Okay. So the message in India is not about equality, justice, inclusion, opportunities. Message in India is about religion. It's about your caste. It's about upper caste people trying to keep their hold on assets, jobs. So the fight is very different. And some of these fights take 50 years, 100 years. These things don't get solved in 5 or 2 years. You see our independence movement, how long it took? It didn't happen in 12 months or 6 months. Sometimes that fight goes on beyond your own life. So, history of a nation is very different from history of an individual. The fight we have in India today is a very serious one. It is ultimately going to define the India of the future. And people of India will have to decide whether they want to build a nation which is more secular, safe, and secure for everybody, or dominated by one group of people. And we have seen the results in Pakistan, Israel, and other places where religion is the foundation of the political system. India is too complicated, too diverse for that. Too many different languages, too many different communities. India's strength is diversity, and you got to build India on the basis of diversity. And that's the basic fight going on. Okay. And in the process, everything else don't really matter.
Sure.
So it's a method of building a nation. Okay. Yes. Rautare,
Siddhartha Ray is saying, ignore these controversies. Your righteousness has done great things and you are doing great.
you're very generous. I'm at the end of my career. In May, I will turn 83. Okay. So I want to really encourage young people, work with them as much as I can, and make sure that we bring best in our young. Okay. And I work with young in Mexico. I work with young in Europe. I work with, lots of people all over. India is my love because I was born and raised there. Okay. But I'm equally concerned about the world because we are an important part of this global community. Okay. So thank you for your comments, and I appreciate kind words. And I look forward to your participation in this journey.
Sam, I have identified some important, interesting topics of interest on this context from the
Sure.
community. Maybe just try to see, in case if you can answer in one
Sure.
word or one sentence.
Sure, I'll
What,
try.
what do you think about saved democracies? I think there is a global phenomenon saying that, okay, democracy is ending.
Save democracy to me mean that all our institutions should be given autonomy that they deserve, whether it is judiciary, universities, police, income tax office, government servants. Everybody should be given freedom to do their job without political interference. That's item number one. Item number two, civil society should be also given freedom to be watchdog and service providers. If somebody wants to start a school in some small little village funded by local community, give them more freedom. Don't just interfere as a government and say you should do this and you should do that. So civil society has a very important role to play. And it is in general public interest to make sure that they operate along with government, business, and civil society. Third, we got to have fair and free media. Media that is unbiased, media that is true to the local community, media that is not used as a propaganda machine, And if you really look at these three things along with scientific temper, we have to make sure that there is logical, rational conversation. Conversation cannot be about this God said this and that God said it. Okay. Or I saw a ghost. Okay. Last night and ghost told me to do this. Or light 50 lamps and all your troubles will go away. You know, or pray this God and you'll go to heaven. Okay. It's not logical. It's not scientific. I want scientific, logical, rational conversation. And that mindset is difficult to develop in some communities. Okay.
Sure, sir.
I tell you, once I said that temples are not going to create jobs, and people just went wild. Okay, saying no, temples will create job because some people are needed to light lamp, people are needed as pujari. I mean, come on. That's not the conversation we are having. But what do you do? You know, it
Sure, sir.
happens.
Okay, save constitution. Just try see in case if you can be brief, sir. So I have bunch of topics, maybe more than
Sure,
10.
sure. I'll be very brief. Save constitution implies that whatever our founding fathers set as our ground rules, we need to follow those ground rules. Not that they were right on everything, but the framework should be intact because that constitution ultimately says equality, justice, human rights. I mean, we can't say that, look, I have a right to kill anybody. Okay, that's what we are talking about when we talk about save constitution. Everybody would be treated equally. We don't care what religion you believe in. Okay. To me, they're all equal. When we started C dot in early days, it never occurred to me whether this engineer is Hindu or Christian or Muslim. They were all great engineers. They were all young people, you know, and there are no preference. Preference was talent. Yeah. And when that is broken, you are breaking your constitution. Okay.
Awesome, sir. So in fact, right behind in my photo, we can see Mr. Narendra Modi when he took charge as Prime Minister this 2024. He worshipped the Constitution. Maybe because I think Rahul and the entire opposition was talking about how the Constitution is towards dilution. So I think Rahul clearly told in Parliament that this whole war is between Manusmriti and the Constitution, which is written
Yeah.
by Ambedkar.
Yeah.
So,
But all these are fundamental issues. I don't know why we are even debating these issues. The fact that we have to debate day in, day out, for years and years, these issues tells me there's something fundamentally wrong. I don't want to debate about equal rights to women. I don't want discussion on it. Okay. Women should be paid same salary as men should be paid. It is not for discussion. Okay.
it's very unfortunate. We need to do a entire yatra for saying Jai Bapu,
Yeah,
Jai
it's
Bhim, Jai
wrong.
Samvitan.
Exactly.
Because I think people forgot the roots, or at least the entire propaganda of the current ruling government is towards diluting this entire age-old constitution.
Yeah,
Sacrosanct.
I don't need to be reminded that I should respect other human being. Yeah. I mean, if you have to remind somebody there's something wrong. Okay.
Sure, sir.
Okay.
What do you think about ban EVM, bring back ballot?
I think that movement is taking some shape. It is not about banning EVM. It is about really cleaning up the election process. You have to start from the data, voter list. How do you make voter list? Who has access to voter list? How do you verify voter list? Because ultimate objective is to create a process where citizen has trust in the fact that What I'm casting is what you are counting. Everyone world over believes that paper ballot is the best approach. They may have some problems in paper ballot also, but it's the magnitude of the problem. Whenever there is machine, you can multiply your manipulation. Okay? And we believe a lot of manipulation goes on today.
I think our friend Priyamata's state, Maharashtra, is going to set the role forward in this. Looks like almost the entire candidates are filing election petitions. Mahmood Pracha, our friend advocate, is facilitating many of those. So I think certainly this is going to put election commission to a task. They're having accountability to respond to this, all of these election petitions with respect to all of these constituencies where there is a suspected alleged rigging of EVMs. So let us hope for what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
So, Sam, you keep saying always humanity first, profit next.
No, what I'm saying is we have gone too far on profit and power. People are only interested in power and profit. Okay. I mean, I remember when I was chairman of Telecom Commission, people come to you all the time and looking for some influence to get your telephone connection and this and that. And when you cease to be Telecom Commission, nobody will even talk to you overnight. I mean, it's so sad that overnight your connections change because you are no longer distributing favor. What it says is community only respects the power you had. They don't recognize you as a human being. And that has to change.
You have written a book around this hyper-connected world, hyper-connected borderless one world. What are your thoughts? How it is going to play into democracy?
I firmly believe that for the first time, even in the human history, we have an opportunity to create one world because we are all connected. Digital citizen is a borderless citizen. Where do you live don't matter. You could be living in Chicago, working in India, getting salary from Brazil and doing a project funded by Chinese. What does it mean? So I think ultimately the idea of border, which is basically a new idea, it's only a few hundred-year old idea, don't make sense. I mean, look at how America was built. A bunch of people from Europe came with guns and tools and started killing people locally and said, "This is my land and not your land. You move out, you move out." Okay? And poor local people who were simple, traditional, you know, peace-loving, were thrown out of power. Now you call that your land. Fine. Then what you do is go buy Alaska, go buy Texas, and then ultimately capture from Mexico, California, and you build a new nation. And now you don't want Mexicans to come across the border. It was their land, it was their country. But this is what is going on everywhere in the world. It's not just the US. Okay. So the whole migration issue is about opportunities. People feel that opportunities are somewhere else, so they move. So I believe, and I'm working with a very bright young man from India, uh, very hardworking, sincere gentleman called Nabat Khan. Uh, he's somewhere in Rajasthan, and he has spent a lot of time looking at the world government. The organization that Einstein started in 30s about uh, global constitution and global governance. I think time has come. In the next 10 years, you will see a lot more activity on global constitution. Why can't we have a global constitution? Which basically lays out 10, 12 important things that will protect our environment. We'll have equality, you know, sort of justice. Uh, we'll respect diversity. We'll live with peace and not build too much defense industry. You can lay out 15, 20 things that everybody agrees to. That's a starting point. And then we need some kind of global governance. UN is not working.
Yeah, become stooge of US.
UN is not working. We need global governance. How to do it, when to do it, are the challenges that we are all faced with.
Sure.
So, hyperconnected world is a borderless world. We have to really understand and accommodate. And we are headed toward one world.
The
Next
next
one.
10, the next 10 are said as the top 10 problems of democracy in an article. Erosion of trust in institutions.
Very true. I think it is the top on my list. Erosion of trust.
Political polarization.
It is okay to have political polarization, but the question is up to what level. No? So,
Threats from authoritarianism.
say it again.
Threats from authoritarianism.
Yeah, it is a big threat. You saw what happened in Nazi's time. That was one extreme. I'm not saying that is the situation today, but we have seen the results. Okay. So we have to be careful. Okay.
Misinfo and disinfo.
Misinfo and disinfo, I don't know where to draw a line, really. Okay. Misinfo is really to change the truth. Okay.
Voter suppression and electoral integrity.
It's part of the process that we talked about. Okay.
Economic inequality.
This is the biggest challenge in the world today. Very few people are very rich, and lots of people don't have enough to eat. People complain and say, why am I in this position? What did I do wrong? Why is everybody having good time and I'm not having good time? But they compare and say, how come I'm not rich? How come nobody's taking care of me? How come, I'm left behind? That is the inequality we are talking about in the world.
This may open up
World
civil wars, actually.
Exactly. World is not perfect. It is not full of justice. Okay. So you can't go on asking, saying, why not me? You have to make best of yourself. You may be lucky that you are born in a rich country. That's a starting point. If you are born in Africa, you know your luck. If you are born in, a very poor family, you know your luck. Okay. Then you have uphill battle. Okay. It's not your fault, but that's the way it turns out to be. Okay. If you're born in America, you have a good start. Okay. If you're born in a rich white family, you have a great start. Okay. And then you can't say, well, how come that fellow is getting all the favors and not me? But that's the way it is, unfortunately. Okay, what can I do? So, decline in
civic engagement.
Because civil society is not allowed to function in many places. In India, if you want to send donation from America to any NGO, it is a major task. Okay. I don't know why it is that complicated, but it is. Okay. Because everybody's afraid. Look at the kind of attacks you have on Soros. Okay. It don't make sense to me. Okay, guy is doing his stuff, you do your stuff. Okay, you may not agree with him, that's okay. But you can't say he's interfering in India, he's doing this, he's doing that. Okay. But that's how our discourse is. Okay.
Climate change and environmental crisis, which also you briefly talked.
To me, it is same. There is environmental crisis world over. Whether you look at Yamuna River in Delhi or our Himalaya mountain and landslides and all, or you look at plastic in the ocean. The other day on TV, I didn't know this. I learned something, and you learn something every day, something new. And this was about all the oil wells which are not capped with a cap in the US, and how these oil wells are polluting local water. Okay. In Africa, and even in Texas, and even in California. I mean, there are millions of oil wells which are not capped. That means the guy who made money left a disaster for you to deal with. He took his money and ran somewhere. Didn't do his job to, seal well properly. Now that's an environment disaster. It's an environmental crisis.
Globalization
Globalization's
and
impact on national sovereignty. I think every country will have to plan their own version of globalization. What to globalize, when to globalize, how to globalize is a local challenge. You have to balance between localization and globalization. There are certain things you can't do locally. You can't produce chips locally in every country. So every country can't say, I got to have my own semiconductor plant. Yeah. Country will have to look at their core competence, like a community or like a family. You got to look at your core competence. Am I good at art and craft? Am I good at manufacturing? Am I good at science and technology? Am I good at math? Am I good at producing these kinds of goods and services? Okay, am I good at software? Yeah. And then decide how to design your globalization. You can't design globalization based on what everybody else is doing. Okay.
Yes. What do you think about technology and surveillance?
Well, I'm convinced that technology has really taken our privacy completely out. There's no privacy. Okay. Everything I do is public. Every word I say to somebody is recorded and can be misused against me. Okay. Misused against me not by bad elements, even by good elements. Okay. So you have to be very careful on what you say, how you say, whom do you say, when you say. It has become a big challenge because your footprint is left everywhere. What I say today, though I'm too old, but if I was young, and let's say I went to a bar and had a little fight, and it is recorded, it can come to haunt me 30 years from now in some election that I was going to contest. They go, oh, when you were, young, you were, violent. So you have to be very careful because there are people out there who will misuse your information, who will blackmail you, who will mistreat you, who will threaten you. Okay. And you have to accept that you are a normal human being. Once in a while, you make mistakes, and maybe you had a fight in the bar when you were young. That's okay. I accept that. And my apology. So there is no privacy, believe me. Who is new center, left or right? I don't look at world in terms of left or right or center or communist or this and that. I'm more of a radical humanist. I look at world more in terms of, is this human? Am I fair to little child? Am I fair to my friends, my community, my neighbors? Okay. Do I really worry about prosperity of others? Do I sacrifice? Do I always take advantage of somebody? Okay. To me, I have to ask fundamental questions in life all the time. You know, I may have given this example, I'll give it again. A psychiatrist friend of mine told me once that there was a game being played, football game in New York, and Giants were winning. And everybody will stand up and clap and scream and all that. And one old man won't get up, won't stand up. So at the end of the game, this young man asked that old man, he said, "Why didn't you enjoy the game?" He said, "No, I enjoyed the game." He said, "But you never cheered." He said, "I was trying to figure out, is it good for Israel or it is bad for Israel?" He said, "I couldn't figure it out." The point is, his thing was very clear. So you have to sometimes in life ask fundamental questions. Is it good for environment or not good for environment? If it is good for environment, I will do it, support it. If it is bad for environment, I will not do it. I might resist it. And my resistance level will depend on my resources, my commitment, whatever. Second, is it good for people or bad for people? If it is good for people, I'll support it. If it is bad for people, I will not support it. Unfortunately, today we are asking a question: is it good for my profit? Then I'll support it. If it is good for my power, then I'll support it. So you're wrong focus. And that's the fight in the world today. That's why all the rich and famous control everything. That's why if Elon Musk says something, world pays attention.
Golden boy with the golden spoon.
Yeah, no, it's a golden rule. One who has gold makes the rule. It's that simple. Golden rule is the one, or golden rule is basically about one who has gold makes the rule.
Sure. Thank you, Sam. Priyamata, welcome back. I hope your trip into India was good. So why don't you ask if you have any questions or anything
Or
from the
tell us
community?
about your trip.
I'm still in India actually.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
So yeah. Happy New Year, both of you and everyone. So, sir, I have a question with regards to India. So what with the EVM taking control of every election and one party like winning the states they want, and the thing is the morale of democracy warriors is low now. So because they don't see any, there is no point in fighting unless because there's just one party winning, and it's like we are going towards oligarchy basically. Because in Mumbai I see like day in day out the land parcels are sold to just like two businessmen, so it's like concentration of power. So I just want to know what message would you give to volunteers like us, like who have lost our morale, like we don't see any light at the end of the tunnel. So what do you think, how should we move forward in 2025 with this fight, ongoing fight? What are the basic things we should cling on and hope that things will improve? Because right now it's totally like nobody's or everyone has lost hope basically, with Maharashtra
First of
losing.
all, I would not lose hope
Okay.
because you're looking at a short term events. Think of long term. You're young, you got to think of minimum 50 years. If I have to think of minimum 5 years, you have to think of minimum 50 years. You have a long way to go. This will be over very soon. So, one, never lose hope. Two, don't get discouraged because there are times when somebody loses and there are times when somebody wins. And those things change. One who wins cannot go on winning all the time. And one who loses cannot go on losing all the time. Look at the probability. When you roll a dice, you know that you can't have 6 all the time. Yeah. So I would say we are going through difficult times. There are elements in the society, civil society, who have taken up the election issue. I know 2 people and their groups who are very active. One is Pracha. Pracha has been very vocal. Some people like him, some people don't like him. That's okay. But he's committed. I don't have to agree with him on everything. But he's a good person. He means well. He wants to fight. And then you have Deva Shaham and the group of civil society people who work with Justice Lokur.
Citizen
They've done
Commission
a lot of
election.
work for last 3-4 years. And these two are carrying the torch. I hope political parties support them. Well, I worked with both of them. I respect both of them and their associates well. And our job is to really rally behind them, work with them, you know. So getting discouraged is not the answer. When you get discouraged, you have to assume that your opponent is winning. So hang in there.
So hopefully, I think even the Congress Central Working Committee discussions during the centenary celebrations last week in Karnataka, Belgaum, spoke about the new path forward, a yatra to propagate Jai Bapu, Jai Bhim, Jai Samvidhan.
I don't know what is Jai Bapu.
Jai
Okay.
Bapu is Gandhi. So kind of to celebrate all 3 aspects of Indian democracy: Gandhi, Ambedkar, and our constitution. So I think there is going to be a lot of protests across the country, which is supposed to be the agenda for Congress, kind of entire next year till January 2026. So I think let us hopefully expect a bunch of things, even on this EVM context on that. I am personally hopeful. So I think
Yeah, no, the problem is that we are just selling our land and our forest, like to
Yep.
like these 2 businessmen. Like you see in Chhattisgarh, there is, I don't know how the government even allows this. Like lakhs of trees have been felled just for the coal mine, for a businessman. So why are we not realizing the importance that this is a national loss? Like these are our national assets. If we do deforestation everywhere, like even in Mumbai, there is constant, like now they have sold a land parcel for just peanuts, to one businessman. So I don't know how the government even forget the agenda of hate for one community, like, but even like, why are we not realizing the importance of our own national assets? Why
Because
what
very simple. No, Premvada, it's very simple. Because we are focused on power and profit. And we are not focused on planet and people. It's that simple. Okay. The day we will shift our focus, you will see a new world. So we all have to work towards making sure that we keep reminding people that planet and people are more important than power and profit. Okay.
sure.
Thank you, sir.
I think thank you, Priyamta. Ilanko Jairamane is saying Happy New Year. It's a good friend from Chicago. And Beverly Matthews is saying, to bring about change, we need a change of regime. How do we vote them out with all the institutions compromised? Government has put restrictions on accessing data from ECA. So how does one move forward? Very, very interesting question.
I think the only way to move forward is to consolidate all the opposition. That's what we try to do, which is not easy to do. But at the end of the day, BJP gets only 40% of the votes, if you're talking about specifics. Okay. What about 60%? If all 60% come together and say, look, enough is enough, we are not going to tolerate this, BJP cannot get one seat. One seat. Remember, there was time when BJP had 2 seats. Okay. So it all depends on people of India.
Hopefully, in the next coming weeks, we will talk about some of these things about Ambedkar and also Constitution again, Sam. Looking forward, Sam.
Sure.
Have a great day.
We have
Thanks
lots
a lot.
of things to talk about, but I want to make sure that our young people who join us are getting something out of it. I benefit, I can tell you that. I enjoy interacting with you. I learned, you may not realize that. I learned more about how you think, what is important to you. And this is a great group. It's a wonderful group. People come join every week, dedicated people. And, I want to strengthen this, and I want to request each one of you to tell 5 of your friends to join us. Tell them one day about what this group is and how they can benefit, or even start your own group. Okay. Ideally, I would like to see these kinds of conversations at every district level regularly. To me, this is the temple we go to. Okay. This is our puja. Just meeting with you, talking to you, understanding together and learning things. Okay. Thank you, everybody.
It's 51st episode, Sam. I think without your support, we might not have accomplished this.
No, you guys make it happen. I just show up for an hour. But Sean, you and Premvada make it happen. So thank you. And we are not perfect. We made mistakes. We had some controversies. That's okay. That's perfectly all right. We don't have to agree on everything. But I respect what you guys do, and I thank you for all your effort, and keep doing it. Okay. But let's get more people to join and listen to us.
Sure.
And that can happen if each one of you make a little effort on your side to ask 5-10 people, and maybe 1 or 2 will join. Okay.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you, and let's have a good 2025.
Sure, Sam. See you. Take care of your health, Sam. Take care.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Take care. Thanks, Sean. Thanks, sir.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.